Bruges is the most well-preserved medieval town in the whole of Belgium, apparently.
I always wanted Bruges to be the fourth major character in the piece. I don't think I'd ever seen it captured on film before. I couldn't understand why, because around every single corner there's another beautiful street, another beautiful church, all dating back to, the 1300s, 1400s. Cobble streets and canals, and I thought it'd be cool to have a backdrop like that to a gangster story.
It's very pretty.
I'm not being funny, we can't stay here.
We've got to stay here until he rings.
For 2 weeks? In fucking Bruges.
It has a feel of some place that's almost stuck in time, It's like nowhere I've ever been before. It's very beautiful, but just very otherworldly. It seems to have a certain spiritual neutrality to it. It doesn't come with the history of the London underworld or Dublin underworld or New York or any of these cities which have been very well referenced in films before and are very well recognisable as well. It's a perfect backdrop for the fish out of water story that we're telling,
In a way, it's a kind of a joke, because it isn't normally the environment you associate with these sorts of characters. It's got a very particular kind of small-town energy. So I think the restlessness of these characters against that kind of small-town, old, beautiful, preserved European vibe is quite a good counterpoint.
What are we going to do? We can't stand here all night.
Why don't you both put your guns down? Go home.
Don't be stupid. This is the shootout.
I mean, it was born here, the story, in this wonderful, too perfect and too good to be true town. Martin got this story in his head. I can understand it was quite exciting to have a man with guns running around these picturesque, lovely streets. Whatever you think, if you like it or you think it's boring, Bruges, cinematically it's really great. I mean, there's something to be seen around in every shot. It's like a fairy tale almost.
It's ridiculous. We met the mayor when we arrived here first, and I said, "Thanks for lighting our set, Mr. Mayor," because it's like as if somebody built a movie set and said, "Go shoot a film in it." But they built it in 1428 or something. It was like unbelievable. It is a nice town, Harry. Glad I got to see it.
Bruges is such an interesting place. I would suggest that if you like beer, that you come and visit, but don't stay too long. It's the best beer I've ever had in my life. It's the best beer in the world. And I have a certain amount of respect for that. So that's been both a curse and a blessing all at the same time. We're filming down by the Pointy building tonight. It might actually be good for once. You guys should come along.
This set is the bell room at the top of the bell tower, which is the main sort of architectural motif of Bruges. It's a very old, very high bell tower that I think it was started in about 1200 and extended over the years.
Let's go up the bell tower. Be quiet up there this time of evening.
Bruges is a small, pokey space, which is why we've built these sets. Obviously, we can't shoot in the real space. The climax of the film really happens around the bell tower.
Fucking cunt! Like I'm not going to do nothing to you just because you're standing about like Robert fucking Powell. Like who? Like Robert fucking Powell out of Jesus of fucking Nazareth.
And this is a relatively faithful reproduction of what it's like inside, except it's stripped back. The one that's there now is full of safety mesh and different kind of contemporary timber structure and different bell ringing apparatus. And we have just kind of imagined what it might have been like, before they put all that gear in. And we have made it a bit more graphic and stark for this big sort of shootout at the end of the film. So it's the major sort of set piece of the film, really.
Well, I'm not going to have a shootout in the middle of 1,000 fucking Belgians, am I?
I wrote into the script every single church or gallery or street corner or bridge. We actually got to film in every single place apart from one, which is amazing.
Out there, it's called the Groothuis Museum.
They all have funny names, don't they?
Yes, Flemish.
You just wouldn't write specific places in a London script, say, or a Paris script, because your first choices wouldn't be available.
There are a lot of alcoves in the Koningin Astrid Park.
There's an awful lot here to kind of dip into, and I think that's what Martin, in writing the scenes in these locations, has been trying to pick out and hook out. Places like where we're filming today, which is the Basilica of the Holy Blood of Christ.
Up there, the top altar, is a phial said to contain some drops of Jesus Christ's blood. That's how this church got its name.
There was one thing we had to do, which was to get the city on board with the idea of us filming the film here. I think they've been pleased to have us here. The mayor of the city was an extra today in this scene, so that seems to have been good. It's good to be ambassadors for film in a good way.
What are they doing over there? They're filming something.
I mean, it's in many ways quite a simple project aesthetically, in the sense that Bruges is playing for Bruges, and we just needed to choose those bits of Bruges that we like, the bits that Ken loves and Ray hates.
We shall strike a balance between culture and fun.
Somehow I believe, Ken, that the balance shall tip in the favour of culture.
There's some very famous painters called the Flemish Primitives, the paintings of which are housed here, that they see early in the film.
Well, the rest were rubbish by spastics, but this one's quite good. What's that all about then?
There's this particular Bosch painting that they look at. It's a bit like Dante's Inferno sort of characters, and they appear as extras in the film set, so it becomes quite surreal at that point. Some of them have also got wounds in the painting, and like the wounds that Ray then has, so it's a little echo of what they've seen before.
In that film, it utilises Bruges as a fairy tale-like place.
In this scene, you're supposed to walk like a little mouse, you know?
Designed around Hieronymus Bosch and his strange, creepy paintings.
The psycho dwarf turns out to just be a lovable little schoolboy, and it's also some kind of Boschian nightmare.
The film within the film is described as a piece of Euro trash. And which is quite a brave thing when you're doing a film in Bruges, in the same way as they're doing a film in Bruges. How's the movie going?
It's a jumped up Euro trash piece of rip-off fucking bullshit.
Like in a bad way. Martin, he knows he's calling danger on himself, kind of slightly ridiculing the film within the film, because obviously, you know, we're treading the same ground.
There is a whole different look to Bruges at night. It's still equally or more beautiful than in the daytime. But I guess at nighttime you really could be in any era of the last, 500, 600, 700 years, especially when, the fog rolls in. There's a whole different look to the streets and to the canals. There's something eerie about it.
It starts out as a fairly benign place, but then as the film progresses, Bruges becomes more gothic, more sinister, a bit more scary, a bit more otherworldly.
In story terms, Bruges is supposed to be a heavy, darker, purgatory-like place.
Do you believe in all that stuff, Ken? The Last Judgment and the afterlife?
But for me, it'll always be the place I made my first film, and it's just going to be full of happy memories, I think.
Thank you for the trip to Bruges. It's been very nice, all the old buildings and that, but we're coming back to London now, where it isn't all just fucking chocolates.